Welcome to Under Two Capes. I am Jared, and I'm here with Nick from the Phoenix Press. What's up, brother?
Oh, not much. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing very well, particularly because I just started reading Geoff Johns' Green Lantern, so I'm really happy about that. Which,
Woohoo!
all right. So, a little context. So, pre 2000, I think 3, Green Lantern was not the character that we think of today. Chiefly because he was just a space cop that had a weakness to the color yellow. Yes, I kid you not, to the color yellow. Well, here's the thing. It's better than Alan Scott, whose weakness was wood. That's it.
So many jokes, so little time.
Yeah, I know. I figured you would have jokes for that one. So, Geoff Johns completely reinvented the character. He explained that, okay, so that weakness to yellow, that's because Parallax, the yellow entity of fear, was actually contained within the central power battery of the Green Lanterns and led to essentially that's why they have the weakness. Now, I'm getting too ahead of myself. So who is Green Lantern? The Green Lantern is basically a space cop that goes around the universe patrolling, fighting crime, occasionally saving the galaxy because it's a DC comic superhero book, and the like. Now, Nick, I got to ask you, what's your exposure to Green Lantern?
It's limited, but I am aware of the characters. Like most people, I watch the Justice League cartoons. I have read some of the comics, not much of it. I do like the idea of Green Lantern, but I've never been the biggest admirer, but I do like it.
Mm-hmm. The idea kind of, and this is what Geoff Johns really hammers in his run that spanned from 2000, I think 5 was when the first issue came out with Green Lantern Rebirth, all the way until the new 52. It was basically DC's version of Star Wars. And and it was his run where you get the idea of there's multiple lantern cores, like the red lanterns, the yellow lanterns, the indigo lanterns and such, the black lanterns,
the orange lanterns, mine,
orange lantern. I love Larfies. Yeah, his oath is just mine. It's awesome.
So on brand.
And what's cool about Larfleeze is that his core, what he does is he kills you, and then he uses his ring's power to capture your essence, and you essentially become a construct. That's why he has a orange lantern core, but he's just one dude. And because he's just one dude, all the power goes into him, so he's supercharged.
Yeah, I mean it is the orange light of greed, so.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you this. Who's your favorite Green Lantern?
It's probably on top of my head, I'd probably say John Stewart, but Hal Jordan has a special place in my heart.
Yeah, mine is either Hal or Jessica Cruz. Gotta love Cruz. But
my only exposure to just Cruz was Justice League versus the Fatal Five. That animated movie, which she did have a good showing in that.
Which is kind of funny because, by the way, she's not actually called Limelight in the comics. That's just what they called her, what the Legion called her. But I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of like how they tried to give her own superhero identity, even if it was in the Bruce Timm verse. But what's cool, the reason I like Hal Jordan is because think about his arc. He went from in Emerald Twilight, he became Parallax after Mongol and Cyborg Superman blew up Coast City and he tried to recreate it. So he essentially became a bad guy, sacrificed himself to save Earth by reigniting the sun, then came back as a normal Green Lantern, and then had to earn back everyone's trust, including Batman, including other Green Lanterns, because everyone hates him up until the point when he actually proves himself again.
Oh, nice.
And remember, the Green Lantern Corps had absolutely no expectations of it. They had very low expectations of him when he first came in because he's a human. Essentially they looked down on humanity. So he was really struggling there. So the reason why I want to talk about Green Lantern is because, and this does relate to SnyderVerse, is because in Justice League Part 3, the Green Lanterns play a significant role. So what I wanted to do, and this is going to dovetail into this week's live stream, we're postponing the SnyderVerse trivia night, partly because Taladia can't make it, but also because kind of wanted to like really flesh this out. So this week's Under Two Capes episode is going to be talking about just general Green Lanterns, why they're cool, important storylines and such. And then this weekend is going to be a general Green Lantern appreciation stream. I'm going to try and get like a panel on this, and then we're going to talk about it. So
if we're talking about Green Lantern, I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't touch upon the movie with Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. Now, here's the thing about that movie. And I recently rewatched it, and I have to say, it's not as bad as people say it is.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not like a dumpster fire or anything. It's like
no Birds of Prey. Let me put it that way.
Oh dear God, yeah, sure. Green Lantern is not the best movie. It's an okay movie at best, but it is like at least 3 or 4 tiers above Birds of Prey.
Yeah, it's actually, I would say it's on par with like a lot of different superhero movies, because I actually very much enjoy it. And I get some of the complaints, like the CGI does look a little wonky at times, but in terms of general plot, it's not a horrible movie at all. No, absolutely not. And
Ryan Reynolds actually makes a pretty decent Hal Jordan.
I wish it was Nathan Fillion, but that's just me.
So. Well, you and me both, brother. Like on it. Well, I think Nathan Fillion's a little bit too old now, but like if this was like 2007, yes.
Yeah, but yeah, it's actually. Most of that movie takes inspiration from this run of Green Lantern. In fact, most modern interpretations of Green Lantern you're going to find are pretty much solely taking inspiration from Geoff Johns' Green Lantern, since he and Ethan Van Sciver, one of the best comic book artists of all time, let's face it, I don't care what you guys say,
I mean, that's just like
significantly expanded Green Lantern.
I mean, that's just a straight up fact.
That is, in fact, it was majorly Ethan's idea to expand to the different Lantern Corps, because he said he would be kind of cool if they had like a Red Lantern Corps that was inspired by Rage, a Yellow Lantern Corps, this.
I just want to say, I love Dexter. Like, just the idea of
a Red Lantern cat,
a Red Lantern cat that shoots acidic hairballs. You know, and like if you ever actually read his backstory, it's so freaking tragic. Like,
yeah,
Dexter just wants to be a good kitty, and it's just like, oh my God, I love this character.
So let's start off talking about the different Lantern Corps and briefly going over their history. And since you mentioned Dexter, let's start with the Red Lanterns. So, because actually the story kind of starts with the Red Lanterns. So pre-Green Lantern, the Guardians had these robots called the Manhunters, which were responsible for the police force. The thing is that, as in the case of most times when we put defense in the hands of robots, they sort of go crazy. And
now, how are these different from the Martian Manhunters?
These are actually robots instead of just a Martian dude.
Is there any affiliation between like the Martians and the robots?
I don't think so, no.
All right, so they both like Manhunters, so that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, exactly. So the Manhunters go crazy and start to see any being with emotion as a threat to galactic order. So they wipe out Sector 666. I know, pretty on the nose there.
Well, that's the number of the beast.
Yeah, and then the Manhunters, then the Guardians like defeat the Manhunters, and then they decide we need sentient beings. So that's where they get the idea for the Green Lantern. But here's the thing: in the surviving sector, there are these 6 inversions, which are the 6 survivors of that entire space sector. Which you have to understand, a sector has like 100 planets, each with like probably like let's say the population of Earth, 3 billion people. So that's like 300 billion people, 6 survive.
Jesus.
Now, okay. The 6 now one of these inversions name was Atrocitus, and his family was wiped out by the Manhunters. So he's really pissed. So the inversions become a terrorist group, and then at one point, Atrocitus is kidnapped by Abin Sur. Well, not kidnapped. Arrested by the Green Lantern Abin Sur. And then Atrocitus seemingly has the ability to like see into the future, and he says, okay, so here's what's going to happen. There's going to be this war of light with all these different Lantern Corps. There's going to be a Blackest Night, and then there's going to be like a Sinestro Corps and all that stuff. So he starts listing all these things. And Abin Sur feels fear, is distracted, and then the ship crashes on Earth, and this is how Hal Jordan gets the ring. So then, which is kind of interesting because the Red Lanterns pretty much directly led to the Green Lanterns. So at one point, and actually, Yzmalt, the planet of the Red Lanterns, is actually a prison for the inversions. Atrocitus is re-imprisoned by Sinestro back when he was a Green Lantern, and he eventually escapes, big surprise, but uses his rage. He taps into the emotional spectrum and creates a Red Lantern Corps, which is powered by rage. Now, the cool thing about the Red Lantern Corps is that the ring replaces their heart.
So you're saying that despite all his rage, Atrocitus is still in the cage? Kind
of, yeah, exactly. And they can vomit up acidic blood. So, kind of like that. So, and then actually going back, and then so that's basically the history of the Red Lanterns. A few very popular Red Lanterns were like Atrocitus, Dexstar, as you mentioned. There was Bleeze, who was a princess, but was also but became a Red Lantern.
Guy Gardner.
What?
Wasn't Guy Gardner a Red Lantern?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was during the New 52, essentially. And it was actually a really cool thing. Supergirl was a Red Lantern.
Whoa.
Yeah, and then, so let's see what else. Okay. And then there was also Razor the Red Lantern from the Green Lantern animated show and Young Justice, which was a fantastic show.
Doesn't Lobo have a Red Lantern ring?
He had it. There was this one image of Lobo and he has like all of the lantern rings.
Even orange?
I think so. So by the way, I wanted to as I go through each Lantern Corps, I'm actually going to do their oaths. So I'm pulling up the Red Lantern oath right now.
All right.
Let's see. It is okay. Now, here's the funny part. In the cartoon, they significantly like de-bloodified this oath, so it sounds super weenie, but here's the actual one. With blood and rage, crimson red, ripped from a corpse so freshly dead, together with our hellish hate, we'll burn you all. This is your fate.
Ooh, that is so edgy. I love it.
It's so badass. So the next one I want to talk about is the Star Sapphires. They're the Pink Lanterns, essentially, powered by love, and they're all women. So
the power of love.
Sapphire Corps. Yeah, exactly. So with the Star Sapphires, I'm going to do their oath now. I might as well.
Wait. Before we do that,
yeah,
shouldn't it be noted that the leader is Carol Ferris?
The leader's not necessarily Carol Ferris. It's kind of, so okay. Let me do the origin of the Star Sapphires real quick, and that'll explain this a little better. So, actually, this goes back like when the Guardians were establishing the Green Lantern Corps. So what happened was the Guardians decided, okay, we are going to purge all emotions. We can operate logically in all situations. There was a group of Guardians that broke off and decided, no, we're not going to purge emotions. We need emotions. And it was all females. And then they fled to the planet Zamaron, where they found like the bodies of these two lovers intertwined, rumored that it was Hawkman and Hawkgirl in a past life. And they decided to harness the power of love, and they turn it into this crystal. And this is where you get the original Star Sapphire, Carol Ferris, who originally was a bad guy. And eventually, Carol was able to like override it, and it actually became a ring, like an actual lantern ring.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the Star Sapphire is passion of love. So that's kind of what it is. She's not necessarily the leader. It's just she's essentially the Hal Jordan of the Star Sapphire.
Also, shouldn't it be noted that Star Sapphire existed long before this reboot?
Yeah, exactly. She did long before that. She was a Green Lantern villain for like years and years and years and years and years. It was just this was the run that established that there's actually a core.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, I just wanted to, since we're doing a breakdown, I wanted to note the distinction.
Yeah, good. Okay, so here's the oath. For hearts long lost and full of fright, for those alone in blackest night, again, accept our rings and join our fight. Love conquers all with violet light. So,
Wonder Woman would make a great Star Sapphire.
Funny you should mention that, because in the storyline Blackest Night, which was the big storyline that Geoff Johns' Green Lantern run was going to, this is where you get like the Black Lanterns and such, which are powered by death. Now, there was a part where they needed backup. So, Ganthet of the Guardians manages to hack into all the Lantern rings, no matter their core, because really all of the Lantern rings are based on Owen technology, so there's a baseline that he can use. So what he does is he essentially allows for the purpose of this battle, we're going to deputize certain characters. So Mara gets a red lantern. The Flash gets a blue lantern ring. It's kind of wasted when you have Superman there because Blue Lantern's hope, but Scarecrow,
literally, Superman is literally hope. So it's like come on.
I know. I had a discussion with Max Priestley the first episode he came on, and I was like, yeah, that sucks. And then Lex Luthor became an orange lantern.
Okay.
Scarecrow became a yellow lantern. That works.
Better.
Yeah. The Atom became an indigo lantern, which is the one for compassion.
Okay.
And Wonder Woman became a Star Sapphire.
What did Batman become?
He didn't become anything because he was dead. This is after Final Crisis.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, dead. He was technically in the Return of Bruce Wayne storyline. So, but
the thing about Batman is he would be equally good as both the Yellow and Green Lantern.
In fact, he almost was. Funny you should mention that too, because there was a part in the storyline when they're. So what happened was, and this is going to lead into our Sinestro core discussion. So, for context, Sinestro was always a Green Lantern villain. He started off as a Green Lantern, and then he started using his powers as to become a dictator of his planet Korugar. Now, the way this is going to work is that, so Hal Jordan reported him to the Guardians. He was stripped of his ring and banished to the antimatter universe. He found on the planet Cord in the antimatter universe, he managed to create this ring that fed on the color yellow, because Green Lanterns are weak to yellow at the time, and we didn't really explain it. What they explained was that so eventually he started creating this yellow lantern core, and throughout the entire storyline, throughout the entire run, up until the storyline Sinestro Core War, you would have all these instances where you would have the camera would pan on these beings, and then all of a sudden say blank and blank and blank. You have the ability to instill great fear. Welcome to the Sinestro Core. Then, so what happened was it came to Batman, and then but here's the thing. Batman had previously used a Green Lantern ring. So the Yellow Lantern ring was error, Green Lantern, infestation, seeking out other host. So he was almost a Yellow and a Green Lantern.
Yeah, because I know there has been a couple times he's used the Yellow Lantern ring. He's crazy powerful with it. Because obviously, Batman is, well, the thing is he'd be crazy powerful with yellow and green.
Yeah, exactly. So going to Yellow Lantern. So it was in Geoff Johns' Green Lantern that was established that Sinestro has the power of Parallax. It was interesting too. So to talk about the Sinestro Corps, their oath is actually a mirror of the Green Lantern oath. I'm trying to pull that up real quick.
Yeah. It's always funny how they have the villains in yellow, Reverse Flash, and then
Yeah. So the oath is, in blackest day, in brightest night, beware your fears made into light. Let those who try to stop what's right burn like his power, Sinestro's might. So you may be wondering, what are some special Sinestro Corps members? Well, it's funny you should ask that. So we have Sinestro, obviously. We have Scarecrow.
His daughter,
Saronic Natu. We have who else? Oh yeah, we have Arkillo, who's basically his version of Kilowog. We have, let's see, who else? Superman in Injustice.
Yeah, I could definitely.
Hal Jordan in Injustice.
Hal Jordan has Hal Jordan's wearing so many rings.
He's worn pretty much all of them. Here's one: the Anti-Monitor.
I can see it.
And Superboy Prime.
Oh dear God, help us all! Superboy Prime is OP as enough as it is. Give the boy a Yellow Lantern ring, dear God! It's like when you discover that sky is not the limit.
There's this fantastic moment where he's fighting the Superman family, and he's beating on Crypto, and then Supergirl goes, "You better hope that he's still alive, or we're gonna beat you to death." And then Power Girl is like, "Oh yeah, what she said." Then they throw him into a bridge, and you see this image of Superman, Supergirl, and Power Girl, and it's like shadows covering them, and all you see are their red heat vision eyes. It's so badass.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's really cool, and And in the comics, Jessica Cruz.
Really?
Yeah, she became a Yellow Lantern at some point. I'm not sure if she's still a Yellow Lantern, but she did become a Sinestro Corps member at some point.
Interesting, because I know fear is part of her character.
Yeah, significantly part of it. In fact, so let's do we'll get to that. Yeah, fear is very much a part of her character, and we'll get to that when we talk about the greens. So now let's go to the Orange Lantern.
Mine.
Actually, you just did the oath, so I don't even have to do that. And yes, Hal Jordan has kind of been an Orange Lantern. Lex Luthor has been one. Let's see, who else has been an Orange Lantern?
Larfleeze,
yeah, I'm saying besides him. But it's like pretty much anyone. But what's interesting about, by the way, the storyline where he was introduced is called Agent Orange.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, that's actually kind of cool. And it's like, yeah, so in other words, all the other members of his core are actually like constructs because he won't share the power with anyone.
It's pretty on brand.
He's kind of like Smeagol in a way.
My precious.
Yeah.
Okay, like I love how you mentioned Smeagol, because like both him and Smeagol, they both love the rings.
Yeah, exactly. That's great. I love that.
Sorry, just what you said was so on point. I had to point it out.
And what's so cool is that when there's a part in Blackest Night when they all recharge, and Larfleeze's ring goes charge 999%. I'm like, because he's not sharing the ring power with anyone, so it's all being concentrated through him. So that's actually pretty much, and what's actually kind of cool is that he has a deal with the Guardians that they don't go near his sector. It's called the Vegas sector. They say, nope, we do not go in there.
Yep. Do not go in there.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're going to go to the Blue Lanterns, the ones powered by hope. Theirs are, in fearful day, in raging night, with strong hearts full, our souls ignite. When all seems lost in the war of light, look to the stars, for hope burns bright. Now, they were started by two Guardians, because eventually Ganthet and Say, two Guardians of the Galaxy, were banished because they stuck their neck out for Hal Jordan. They had emotions, and they had a relationship, so the Guardians said, be gone with you. So they went to the planet Odom, and then started forming the Blue Lantern Corps because they knew that the prophecy of Blackest Night was going to happen. And Blackest Night was like this big event that was supposed to destroy the galaxy. And in fact, what's kind of funny is that the other Guardians put their head in the sand and basically deleted that section from the Book of Oa, which is basically their like history book. So they basically erased it and said, not going to happen, not going to happen.
Oh, wait, it's happening. It's happening. No, why is this thing that we totally said we're going to happen is happening? What's going on? We're U.S. politicians. We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, so they formed the Blue. Now, what's cool about the Blue Lantern thing is that, first off, their rings only work in the presence of Green Lantern rings.
Huh.
And when a Green Lantern ring is near them, it gets supercharged. Like, ridiculously supercharged. Now, here's another interesting point about the Blue Lanterns. So remember I said that the Red Lantern ring replaces your heart?
Yeah.
That means that you can't take off the ring without killing yourself. But the Blue Lantern ring, when you put it on a Red Lantern user, it will like override the Red Lantern ring, purge yourself of the rage, and then like restart your heart. So in other words, the only way to get someone out of the Red Lantern Corps is to put a Blue Lantern ring on them.
Well, that's one way to kickstart the heart.
Kickstart the heart. Yeah, exactly.
I love this song.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny when you see them. They're all a bunch of monks because it's like they all wear robes. There's like an elephant dude, and it's like there's like tons of them. And actually, Hal Jordan was a Blue Lantern. I think Kyle Rayner was the Blue Lantern.
Yeah, but then he became something else.
Yeah, he became a White Lantern and
Yeah,
basically Jesus.
We'll get to that.
Yeah, exactly. We'll get to that when we get to White Lanterns. And then Saint Walker is like the main. He's the Hal Jordan of the Blue Lanterns. Now I think we should go to the Indigo Tribe.
Okay. Yeah.
Which are powered by hope. By compassion. And they actually have one that. So I actually have one that's translated because their oath is in an alien language. So it basically says, following empty days in the blackest nights, we follow after Nostromo's sight. Guided by Abinsur's teaching right, may compassion lead you with indigo light. So actually, they were inspired by Abinsur, the original the Green Lantern before Hal Jordan. And they're basically like a sort of mystical tribe that basically is powered by the emotion of compassion.
Okay.
And that's kind of what they are, really. And there's not really a lot of information on the Indigo Tribe, so this is going to be very brief. But and they're the Purple Lanterns, essentially.
Purple.
Now we're going to get to Green Lanterns.
Also, I just wanted to note that like all these like yellow tribes are based off the Roy G. Biv color spectrum.
Yes, they are. And now the oath I know the most. In Brightest Day, in Blackest Night.
Wait. I got this one.
Actually, let's do it together. You ready? 3,
1, 2,
3. In Brightest Day, in Blackest Night, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil's might beware my power. Green Lantern's
light.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a jazzing up like oath of all time.
Like one time, like I was in like such pain, and in order to like get me in order to kind of just get me through it, I just kept chanting the Green Lantern theme, just as a way to just kind of keep myself going, because like I was in such pain, but like I was kind of in a situation where I couldn't talk. I had to be a bit abusive father. So I just kind of just chanting that under my breath just to kind of just keep myself mentally focused.
It works. So Green Lantern Corps, they're like the ones that this whole universe is named after. They're powered by the green power of will. They're basically intergalactic police-keeping forces. Now let's name a couple of famous Green Lanterns. Obviously, Hal Jordan. He was the first human. Then you had Kyle Rayner, who was like the one after Hal Jordan, and he was like the last Green Lantern, supposedly. Then you had John Stewart, the one that I thought was the only human Green Lantern, because my previous exposure to DC was only the Justice League Unlimited cartoon. Which they kind of had. The thing about the Timverse is that the problem with it is that when they introduced Green Lantern in the Superman animated series, they gave Kyle Rayner Hal Jordan's origin. So I'm like, well, that's stupid. Just use Hal Jordan.
Yeah, and then when it came time to do Justice League, they did John Stewart, and then like I think they actually had Hal Jordan kind of pop up once or twice.
In like that Time episode, yeah. And then so next we have Guy Gardner. This dude, this dude's awesome. So he was the first warrior who was basically
the one to say "F you" to the Guardians.
Oh yeah, many times. He's the dude that's like he mooned Batman. It's like he was leaving the Justice League and he just moons them. He was the one that Batman punched out. It was actually kind of funny is that in Green Lantern Rebirth, when Hal Jordan is going to fight Parallax, Batman's like, "We're not done here, Hal." And then Hal turns around and just decks Batman in the face, and then Guy Gardner's like, "Payback!" And so, yeah, he served as actually a Red Lantern Corps member pretty famously.
Yeah.
Then we have Simon Bazz, who is actually really, really, really cool. He was a dude that was falsely convicted and suspected of being a terrorist because of his ethnicity. The ring came to him, and what's actually kind of cool is that he is the only Green Lantern that also carries a gun on him.
Kind of superfluous because he literally has a gun on his finger, but okay.
Yeah, and then one of my favorites, Jessica Cruz. So let's go over her origin real quick while we're here. So
it's crazy.
It's really crazy. So it starts off, the important part of this origin is that she was camping with her friends, and apparently she saw like some people being like buried by mobsters or something like that. I think that's what it was. And her friends get killed in front of her, and then she like runs away and survives. And this leads to her becoming agoraphobic. Now, that's where the animated movie Justice League versus the Fatal Five and the comics diverge, because in the comics at the time when she was introduced in the New 52, they had just done what's called Forever Evil, where the crime syndicate from Earth 3 invade. Their version of Green Lantern named Power Ring was killed by Sinestro, and his ring sought out another host. He went to Jessica Cruz because this ring seeks out those that are most afraid. So she became Power Ring, and she has trouble controlling the ring. And then she joins the Justice League, where Hal Jordan and Barry Allen trying to help her like control it. Then during Darkseid War, Barry's about to be killed by the Black Racer, and Jessica Cruz steps in the way and takes the hit. However, what's actually really cool is that the Black Racer actually killed, because the ring itself, the Power ring is a sentient being. But that was what was killed, not Jessica Cruz. Then a Green Lantern ring shows up and goes, Jessica Cruz of Earth, you have the ability to overcome great fear. Welcome to the Green Lantern Corps. And she is a beast. In her storyline with Bazz, because Hal Jordan makes them partners. In fact, combines their power batteries together, so they have to be near each other to recharge. So there was this one great storyline called Rage Planet where she has doubts being a Green Lantern, because as of yet she hasn't made a construct. So she's really feeling like, do I deserve to be a Green Lantern, because I can't even make a construct? I should just give up. Then at one point she actually, throughout that storyline, she gains her confidence and then eventually makes a construct, and then she kicks Atrocitus in the ass.
If I were Ethan, I'd be like, I'm gonna make a construct that's a literal boot, and I'm gonna shove that construct up Atrocitus' ass. Like,
yeah, exactly. And by the way, invented by Ethan Van Sciver, so there you go. Ethan Van Sciver and Geoff Johns, baby. So, and she's actually one of the occasions of a diversity character that actually is really, really cool, because they made her not like a female version of Hal Jordan. And then they went like kind of crazy with adding on Green Lanterns, because then you have like Far Sector, who's basically, her mom was a Green Lantern somehow, and then the ring passed to her, or like she sent the ring to her daughter, but that actually doesn't work. And then you have Teen Lantern, who basically hacked a Green Lantern ring, which that's not supposed to be possible. So I don't count those two as existing as Green Lanterns. That's why.
Yeah, I think a lot of some be like, oh, Green Lantern, anyone can be a Green Lantern. Like, it's a core, so we can just add whoever we want to.
Yeah, it's a core, but there's certain rules into how you enter the core. So I don't count those two as Green Lanterns.
Since when has something like Pixie, things like lore and rules matter to these people?
Yeah, exactly. Now, you may be wondering, why does Earth have like 5 Green Lanterns? They explain
Because we awesome.
Yes, that's true. But they actually explain this because Earth is the center of the multiverse. If Earth gets destroyed, particularly if Prime Earth is destroyed, the entire multiverse goes up. So they have so much protection around Earth.
So in other words, we awesome.
We awesome, exactly. Now, here's the thing I want to say real quick. While I'm talking about Green Lantern, this is a different type of Green Lantern than Alan Scott. Alan Scott is basically Doctor Strange Green Lantern. That's the thing. He's more on the magic side. He's in no way associated with the Owen technology.
Yeah, because remember, Alan Scott was the original Green Lantern, and Hal Jordan was done in like the Julie Schwartz reboot. And when Alan Scott was Green Lantern, the Corps didn't even exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And let's see. Yeah, and that was the whole thing about how like you had Jay Garrick, and then all of a sudden they just changed to Earth 1 and Earth 2 and all that stuff. Now we're going to the Black Lantern Corps. Now, okay, so here's their oath. The blackest night falls from the skies. The darkness grows as all light dies. We crave your hearts and your demise. By my black hand, the dead shall rise.
Okay, that's even more edgy than the Red Lanterns. I like.
Yeah, so this is essentially like zombies. Now you may be wondering, what type of zombies? Every character that's ever died in DC, because what happened was in the Blackest Night, and this was the prophecy that's always said in Brightest Day in Blackest Night. So what happened was, there was this character named William Hand who was obsessed with death, and he became the avatar of the Black Lantern entity named Necron. So what Necron did is he sent out rings, and they either took over or resurrected dead Justice League members and dead villains. Like you had, like Aquaman was dead, he got resurrected.
Golden Age Superman.
No, that was on another Earth. Oh, I'm saying on the Prime Earth. He wasn't associated with this.
Oh, because like I remember watching a video where like the original Superman, like 1938 Superman got revived.
I don't remember that, but I'm just going off the main. Actually, what's kind of funny is that there was a storyline where in the Superboy Prime tie-in for Blackest Night, you see him. He's reading the same comic that you're reading right now that he's in right now. So it's like everything now is happening now.
Everybody got that?
Yeah, exactly. So so real quick, who are the members of the Black Lantern Corps? Superman, basically anyone that's ever died. So you got Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Martian Manhunter, Firestorm, Hawkman, Hawkgirl, Aquaman. Let's see, who else? Who else? I'm trying to find the
Joker.
Joker, probably. Superboy, Wonder Girl, both Wonder Girls, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, because Donna Troy dies every other day.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, yeah, so and what they do is that a ring will either hunt you down and get on your finger and then forcibly take you over, or like when they kill you, they eat your heart and then you become a Black Lantern ring, a Black Lantern character.
I can imagine a lot of those rings hitting graveyards up.
Oh yes, because what happened was that there was this one part. So what happened was, all of a sudden you see like all these Black Lantern drones showing up, and like where's Necron getting this army? He resurrected the dead people from Coast City that was destroyed when Cyborg Superman blew it up and turned Hal Jordan to Parallax. And then in the Hall of Justice in the basement, they keep like all the dead bodies of their villains. The rings go down there and infect them.
Oh,
exactly. So it leads to this epic war, and a lot of different characters have their own tie-ins. And actually, the Batman in this is the clone Batman, because at the end of Final Crisis, Batman was sent back in time, but the charred body that Superman was holding, that was a clone that Darkseid had somehow.
Ooh.
And that's Grant Morrison for you. But yeah, it's like
question: Did Jason Todd come back at Red Hood at that point, or was he still dead?
I think he was back as Red Hood, but I don't think he was in the main storyline of Blackest Night. I don't remember.
Yeah, because like he's a character that also died. So wouldn't the Black Lantern ring seek him out?
I'd imagine so. Yes. Now, eventually, and also yes, the Anti-Monitor became the Black Lantern Central Power Battery.
Wow.
Yeah. So now here's the thing: Necron.
I'm just gonna say this story was pretty dark.
Oh yeah, so you could say it's black, kind of.
You could say it was their Blackest Night.
Yeah. Now, yes, exactly. This kind of leads into the White Lantern Corps. So in the way that the Black Lantern Corps are the core of death, the White Lantern Corps is the core of life. Now, what's interesting about this one, so Necron's basic point in the storyline is that I basically gave all of these, I basically indirectly and directly created these circumstances for all these characters to come back to life, so they could eventually become my beings. Hal Jordan says, and by the way, Hal Jordan says, well, yeah, you did that, but we still chose life over death. So eventually, the entire DC universe becomes a White Lantern Corps. Now, the White Lantern Oath is, at the end of night, at break of day, all fear of death shall fade away. Live long lost shall show its light. No, a life long lost shall show its might. Now returned, White Lantern's light. the first White Lantern was Sinestro, because it's kind of funny is that he goes, no, my power, mine. Eventually, he couldn't control it, and then it spread to like everyone, pretty much everyone. In fact, I have an image I'm going to share. This is pretty much what the final battle against Necron looked like. Look at that.
I'm just seeing Google image search stuff.
No, I mean, the image on the right of the screen.
Oh, that is crazy. Wow. The colors looks like you didn't have to do much of a job there.
Yeah, exactly. So, and eventually they defeat Necron, obviously. Now, so basically, I don't think I really have to say who's been a member of the White Lantern Corps. It's basically anyone that's come back to life. In fact, guess who else has been a White Lantern? Batman. And what's cool about it is that this also led to the permanent resurrection of like a wide swath of characters like Aquaman, Firestorm, Eobard Thawne, Maxwell Lord. Maxwell freaking Lord. And by the way, it's kind of funny. When Maxwell Lord was a Black Lantern, he was taunting Wonder Woman like, well, you snapped my neck. It's actually really, really, really cool. And let's see. Yeah, so everyone became a White Lantern Corps. And then also the other pretty significant White Lantern was Kyle Rayner, obviously, and he became like basically Green Lantern Jesus.
I am Jesus.
Kind of. So that's pretty much the individual Lantern Corps. Now we can get into like actual big storylines like Blackest Night, because that was like the big thing that like Geoff Johns was like majorly teasing from Green Lantern Rebirth, and actually the idea of like a War of Light and then Blackest Night, that was actually started by Alan Moore.
Really?
Yeah, because Alan Moore wrote, I think, one Green Lantern story where he basically introduced William Hand. And then and then eventually there was like this prophecy of Blackest Night, and then there was like there's gonna be a War of Light, which means all these other Lantern Corps would rise up, and there'd be a massive war.
The light war, that doesn't sound too bad.
Yeah, exactly. And then there was, as opposed to heavy war, but then
exactly.
So basically, I could divide Geoff Johns' Green Lantern into like 3 individual sections. The major storylines. There's Rebirth, which reintroduces Hal Jordan, because previously he was Parallax, and then he was the Spectre, which was a being that's like God's vengeance, and then he came back as a Lantern.
Yeah, the Spectre is the avatar of God's wrath.
Yeah, and then you have the Sinestro Corps War, which is a big, massive conflict between the Green Lanterns and the Yellow Lanterns that eventually spills over to Earth, and you have this great scene where, okay, so Coast City is rebuilt, and it's like practically empty because everyone's scared that's going to blow up again. Mm-hmm. So the Yellow Lantern Corps basically besieges it because they know how important it is to Hal Jordan. So Hal Jordan basically tells the city, I'm going to fight these guys as hard as I can, but you need to evacuate now. The city not only doesn't evacuate, but they start shining green lights into the sky.
Oh.
Eventually saying, we stand with you.
Oh.
And then the Lanterns who Hal Jordan had previously betrayed, but were trying to, but he was trying to earn back their trust. They said, "You stood with us in battle. We now stand with you."
Oh.
And then at the end of the storyline, the city, the Coast City, which had previously been called Ghost City because no one lived there, is rebranded as Coast City, the City Without Fear. Because they were during the Yellow Lantern invasion of Earth, they were the only city that did not evacuate.
I'm not going to do that again.
Yeah, because eventually they were like, oh, okay, because they stood with Hal Jordan.
So you're saying that Daredevil could live there? Yeah,
pretty much, kind of. It's very Daredevil. That's a good one. I like that.
Because as soon as you said the city without fear, I was like, ooh, Daredevil could live here because he's the man without fear.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, okay, quick question, tangent. Daredevil, do you think he'd be a yellow or Green Lantern?
Green Lantern, because he's constantly overcoming fear.
But he's blind.
Doesn't matter. What does that have to do with it?
Light. but still, you know that's irrelevant to what I asked anyway.
Yeah, because all of them have lights. So let me ask you this, Nick. What's your favorite Lantern Corps of the ones that we've discussed?
I'm gonna be like pretty normie with this and just say green because you know.
And by the way, I know that Scott Snyder expanded it with like the ultraviolet cores, but that's stupid. I hate that. And they added a gold Lantern Corps. Both of these new cores are dumb as hell, so I'm not even going to talk about them. This is just the
they're gonna make a gold core. Where's the silver core? Where's the platinum core?
I know. I'm just like stop. Now we're getting into elements. Now, just stop.
Like the Roy G Biv spectrum works because that's a spectrum of colors with light, and you tie the motion to it. Like all that ties together really well. Like and then adding black and white, sure, because those are light properties as well. You know, like the Roy G Biv spectrum, that's perfect. And then tying into emotions, it works. Like,
and then Grant Morrison, like an idiot, and pulling a Brian Michael Bendis, pretty much, it's not confirmed, but pretty much eliminated all other Lantern Corps. I'm like, no, I hate that. You suck.
So, like, the red and...
It's like he doesn't reference them, and we haven't heard anything of any other cores other than green and maybe yellow. And I'm like, no, that's dumb as hell, dude. Sorry.
Like, you got some fan favorites, especially on, like, the red side. Like, I would think Atrocitus, like, because Atrocitus and Dexter were in Injustice.
Yes. Yes, and they're so cool. Sinestro was in Injustice 1. You can play as either Hal Jordan or John Stewart in Injustice 1. I mean, and 2, as a matter of fact. I'm hoping that maybe they add Jessica Cruz in Injustice 3.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, I mean, they added Supergirl in Injustice 2, so it's not like they can't have two characters with the same power set.
Yeah, I think Jessica Cruz is one of those characters that needs more attention. And deserves way more attention than she gets in DC.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I hope if we're gonna do a quick Injustice 3, I want to see them add Miss Martian. Oh
yeah, absolutely. Now going to actually Jessica Cruz real quick. So now what I love about the thing about Cruz that I think is so amazing and makes her a fantastic character is that she's in a core that you're supposed to be able to basically not be afraid and overcome fear. She's afraid every time she leaves her house. That leads to fantastic character conflict, fantastic inner dialogue too. It's
dare I say it makes for good writing.
Yeah, exactly. Good. That's the thing about it is that you can have these diverse characters. You just have to have good writers. And that's the problem. We don't have that many good writers.
See, here's the problem with a lot of these diverse characters and why Jessica Cruz actually works, is you make these diverse characters and they're good at everything. They have no flaws. They have no weaknesses. They're Mary Sue's, Scary Sue's. The reason why Jessica Cruz works is she has flaws. She has problems she needs to overcome, and it's very relatable issues. Like, even if you don't have agoraphobia, you can still empathize with what happened to her. You can understand why she has it, and when you and it's like you go on these journeys with characters, and when they overcome it, you feel happy for them. You feel proud of them. It's like and it's just, this is just good storytelling, and that's why Jessica Cruz works. That's why like Miles Morales works in certain instances, you know, because like they have conflicts and they have things they need to overcome. It's just basic storytelling, and when you have these characters right out of the gate, so like I'm perfect, I'm awesome, and everyone tells them they're perfect and awesome, it's just boring.
Yeah, exactly. And what's cool about Cruz is that a lot of times when they do diverse characters nowadays, is that they make it so that diverse character is, well, first off, that factor that makes them diverse, like Jessica Cruz's gender and nationality, they make that all the character is. No, that's not who Cruz is.
See, I'm a comic creator myself, you know. Mm-hmm. Check out Screecher later on, you know, blah blah blah. But yeah, exactly. Like, here's my approach when I'm creating diverse characters, or you know, female, gay, or whatever. I just write them like any other character, you know,
who happens to have that characteristic.
Yeah, you know, like sure, their nationality, their orientation could affect their character, but it's not the sole reason for them existing. It's a part of their character. It's at the very most a character trait.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a part of their character, but it is not their character. Because here's the thing: it doesn't matter if you're man, woman, gay, bi, robot. It doesn't freaking matter. There's kind of a universal human experience that we all have, and that you can kind of write to that universal human experience, and that people relate to it. Blah blah blah. It's why like Ms. Marvel, like the Disney Plus show, kind of worked. It's because you had the character where yeah she was Muslim, but like she still experienced a lot of the similar problems that we all did, and we could kind of relate to it.
In other words, yes, you can have certain parts where it references a specific like trouble a particular community goes through. That's fine because that's as to important storytelling. But the problem is that a lot of writers now make that all the story of the character is, instead of like making it so they go through like general stuff that everyone goes through, and that's why Cruz or Kamala Khan works in the show.
Like trying to give you an example. Let's say let's say you're writing a teen romance in high school and you have a character that's gay. Like you can play through all the standard relationship tropes, except have it be between the same gender. Like the story can play out exactly the same way, and it'll be fine. It's just because it's just instead of it being man woman, it's like man or woman or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still playing the same beats, and that story's fine. It's really not that hard once you kind of get down to the basics.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why again, Jessica Cruz, Wonder Woman, why all these different characters work so well and have become in their own ways iconic. Like at this point, I can't imagine Green Lanterns without Jessica Cruz, Jon Stewart, who else? Icon, Static Shock, all these fantastic characters.
Like you're talking about Wonder Woman. The reason why Wonder Woman worked and Captain Marvel didn't, because Wonder Woman is literally one of the most powerful people in the DC universe, yet they still found ways for her to struggle for her overcome. Because the thing is, the thing that makes Wonder Woman stories great is her struggles aren't necessarily physical; they're emotional. You have characters that challenge her on a emotional level, where beating them up really wouldn't fix the issue. That's really the beauty of literally any Wonder Woman story. And the thing is that that first movie really tapped into it. I mean, the second movie tried to, but it just kind of
horribly.
failed. Yeah, but an attempt was made. I'll give them that much.
I'll give them that, but it was a crappy attempt. So
yeah.
Here's an interesting little tidbit for you. Jessica Cruz is going to be in the Green Lantern TV show.
That is good news.
Yes, which I'm like, about freaking time. Maybe we'll get a McFarlane figure for Jessica Cruz, because I want her. I have a Hal Jordan, but I want Jessica Cruz.
I like how they gave her that little eye thing. I thought that was really
That is so cool. Whenever she's in a different Lantern Corps, the symbol becomes a little eye. I love that. Again, they make her unique and have her own identity as a Lantern, and that is really majorly why she is. And I always point to her as a successful example of providing positive representation and diversity in a comic book universe. Jessica Cruz is the best example I have ever seen in comics.
Yeah. Like, Morales was a failure up until the Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah. Then, like, Riri is a failure. Kamala Khan in the comics is a failure.
Oh my god. Have you seen the leaks for Wakanda Forever where they're bringing Riri in and her armor
looks horrible. I mean, the suit looks good, but I'm like, oh my god.
No, the suit does not look good, but we can agree to disagree on that one.
Mm-hmm. But my point is that I think the MCU is going to learn this really fast. Is that they're betting too much on characters that no one cares about. Yes, there are comic book fans that care about like She-Hulk, Kamala Khan, and Riri, but the general audience doesn't care because the general audience wants Steve Rogers and Tony Stark.
I will say this though, I feel like Hawkeye really did Kate Bishop well. Like,
yes,
because Kate Bishop in the comics is kind of insufferable, but this one they actually made her like the relationship between her and Hawkeye was actually kind of adorable. Like it's very much like it wasn't as much arrogant, more as like, hey, I want like I want to work with you, and she kind of had to prove herself to Hawkeye before he'd even start, bringing her in.
Or like in She-Hulk, when they basically have She-Hulk go, "I'm better than you, Bruce Banner."
I mean, not just say that, but also like show it, and then the less we talk about the twerking scene, the better.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Green Lantern now. And then now let me ask you this: who's your? I already asked this early. So it's Hal and Cruz, right? For
John's in there as well.
John's in there. You can't like not put John Stewart in there, right? He's like it got to the point where I didn't know who Hal Jordan was, because once again I only watched the Justice League cartoon. So when I was reading like a Justice League comic and Hal Jordan showed up, I'm like, who the hell are you?
See, this is why, like, I'm not actually mad about them, like, de-emphasizing Hal Jordan in the movies and wanting to bring in John Stewart, because, like, I realize a lot of people, they know John Stewart more than they know Hal Jordan, so I'm perfectly fine with them, like, emphasizing John Stewart, want to bring in Jessica Cruz or whatnot, because, like, Hal Jordan in the mass media, sure, you got the movie, but, like, most people know it from the cartoon, so, like, so John Stewart is the only Green Lantern that pretty much most people know. So like I'm like this is not a they're just going woke, they're putting the black character. No, most people know John Stewart. He's actually a good character. So like I really don't care.
Yeah, me neither, because again, yeah, John Stewart is a fantastic Lantern. It's not like they're forcing a character that no one likes. So it's like I'm like, okay, cool. I don't care. He's one of my favorites too. So
no, they're actually doing the smart move. Like you could even make the argument that forcing Hal Jordan, it would be like forcing a character that not many people when I say not many people knowing Hal Jordan, I'm talking about non-comic book audiences.
Yeah, because obviously we know Hal Jordan.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, by the way, in the Green Lantern animated movie that just came out, they made it so Hal Jordan became Parallax. So they have Hal Jordan in that movie.
Yeah,
I still have to watch it, but it looks great.
They made Hal Jordan the villain. Like, Hal Jordan has been Parallax before.
Have you? They're basically adapting Emerald Twilight. That's what the story was.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: regardless, the main character is John Stewart. I don't care. It's John Stewart.
Yeah, and it's not like they'll never bring in Hal Jordan. It's not like they'll never. Like Hal Jordan is a character you can't ignore. I mean, sure, you could have him be like a secondary character, but you got to bring him in at some point.
Yeah, because he's the OG, so you really have to. Now, here's another storyline for Green Lantern that I didn't bring up that I really have to. It's Green Lantern, Green Arrow, hard-traveling heroes.
Speedy, you're a junkie.
Yeah, exactly. So what this storyline was, okay, so Green Arrow was like a diehard liberal, and Green Lantern is a diehard conservative. And what
I just want to note, the storyline came out in the 70s, like early 70s. So just got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So what they did, and I have the trade up here, is they had these characters going a trip around America, addressing different social issues throughout the
so many great moments. Like, okay, I gotta refer to my favorite moment. This is probably one of the most famous comic pages. Is where a black guy is talking to Hal Jordan, like, you've been really good about helping the purple skins. You've been really good about helping the blue skins. But what have you done to help the black skins? And then, like, there's this like really like sad picture of Green Lantern where it says, I haven't. Like, it's like, God dang, bro, you went like, and I think there's another really good one where like they're talking about like just following orders, then Green Arrow is like, just like that's just what the Nazis said in the Nuremberg trials, which is actually true, by the way. And of course you got the famous "My God, Speedy, you're a junkie," which is like one of the most famous colors. I want to if I ever get if I ever just start like blowing up covers of poster size and like hanging them up, that would be one of them I do.
You mean this?
Yes.
So what we're talking about here is that yes. Okay, so there's a thing that gets thrown around in the internet that says, oh, comics have always been political. Now, yes, that is true. But the way they did it back then, which is why this is universally beloved, is they did it so they gave you both sides of the argument and let you make your own decisions about where you stand on certain issues. Nowadays, they don't do that.
Well, the thing that I'd argue is, yes, art has always talked about politics, but not all art is political. That's a problem that I have with a lot of modern creators is they try to force you to say all art is political. Like I've literally said my comics aren't political, and then people have said to my face, "Yes, they are." I'm the freaking creator of these comics.
Exactly.
If I say they're not political, then they're not freaking political. I am the creator. My word is God when it comes to these comics. Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. And yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you can take a political like bent from anything you see, but the thing is that it depends on is the creator trying to push you to believe a certain way.
See, this is why I keep coming back to the Twilight Zone, which because the thing is, if you just go like below the surface of the Twilight Zone, just like an inch deep, it is a heavily political show. Like it has heavy political messages. And Rod Serling, my writing idol, one of the people I look up to as far as like creative stuff, was a huge liberal. And the thing that I love about the Twilight Zone, and this is to me is the essence of science fiction, is science fiction is a very political genre, but you always mask it with science fiction, so it makes the message more palatable. Like, let's say you want to tell a racism story, so you go to a planet, you have orange skinned aliens, and you have blue skinned aliens, and they hate each other.
They've done that,
and that I mean, yeah, that it's such a generic trope, but it works so well as a way to take the familiarity out of the issue, so that people can look at the issue objectively and say, okay, this is bad, and then once they then they can kind of apply that to their real life, because the thing is, a lot of these issues are so highly charged, where just a mere mention of, oh, this is just a racism thing, their brains will instantly turn off. But if you go out, and this is, the Orville's been doing this, like they did, like their social media episode was brilliant.
Yeah.
A Black Mirror does it. Black Mirror is probably the inheritor of the Twilight Zone mantle, but, I'm sorry, I'm going on tangents.
In fact, here's the thing. You could take Green Lantern as a story about police brutality, because you have, like, the Manhunters wiping out a sector. You have plenty of stories about Green Lanterns abusing their power.
Yeah, honestly, I think if handled well, I could see Green Lantern doing a Charlottesville or George Floyd kind of story and actually having it work really well. But you got to have someone who a really deft hand, because honestly, modern writers they'd be so obvious with it, and just they browbeat us with it. But a really good writer could probably make a really good kind of George Floyd, Charlottesville kind of story, have it work, and it'd be awesome. But no one at DC could do it.
No one at DC now. Geoff Johns could probably do it. In other words, none of the new writers, because I guarantee you, like, the writers that made DC, like Geoff Johns, Robert Venditti, they could do it. I have total faith in them.
Here's my alternate timeline.
Yeah.
So it's 1992. Rodney King just got beaten, and you have Alan Moore write a Green Lantern storyline that's basically talking about that issue, where they do like a Rodney King Green Lantern story. And like there's the whole trial of it,
Yeah, and he could do it too, because remember, Watchmen was in many ways an analogy for nuclear war.
Yeah, like, oh my, and the thing is, Alan Moore was still very much active in 1992, so in this time, he very well could have done it.
Yeah, and that's again, what's important to understand is that yes, you can address a political message in a comic, and it's the last we're going to mention this before we could get back to regular Green Lantern programming. But you just have to have the proper talent in order to do it in a way that the audience is gonna embrace.
Yeah.
Now, going back to what we're talking about with Green Lantern, though. So now here's the reason why I think Green Lantern is works is because you can take it as a superhero comic, or you can just take it as a straight up sci-fi Star Wars like comic, particularly in the Geoff Johns run, because it pretty much turned into Star Wars, Halo, Star Trek, any type of sci-fi thing you can tell Geoff Johns a fan of.
Hello, Mr. Jordan. I see your construct is just as big as mine. Let's see how you use it.
Yeah. But yeah, you know what I'm saying, right? It's like they turned
I couldn't help myself.
Yeah, they turned it into Star Wars. The Force is with you, young Jordan, but you are not a lantern yet.
He went from suck to blow. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna.
Star Sapphire has become dun 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 Mega Maid.
Merchandising. Now, real money for the Green Lantern Corps is made.
Now let's talk about individual creators, because I really want to talk about particular artists, particularly, majorly, Ethan Van Sciver.
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't talk about Green Lantern.
You can't not. Yeah, exactly. And I mentioned this all the times I mentioned EVS in the channel. This dude is like the best at drawing lantern constructs, because he draws each individual like section. Like there's a scene in Green Lantern Rebirth where it's Hal Jordan, Guy Gardner, Kilowog, Kyle Rayner, and in other words, all the human lanterns in Kilowog are fighting Parallax, and then they're each using their own individual constructs. And paired with Geoff Johns describing how each construct is unique, you can see, like for John Stewart, for example, it's more detailed because he's an architect. You can see like each individual scaffolding. Kyle Rayner, it's like more of like an anime style because he's an artist. Like, in other words, they make each individual construct different too. And I think EVS is like one of the best at describing that because he's a very detail-oriented artist.
And then is Jessica Cruz is just a bunch of houses.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And so now let's talk. So now,
and then I can imagine, like, I'm sorry, I'm just gonna have fun with this for a moment. But like Scarecrow, since he was a doctor, is it a bunch of medical equipment like syringes and all that stuff, like size?
With Batman, it's just a bunch of bats.
And then Wonder Woman, since she's like Greek,
it's a rope.
I was trying to go on like her Greco heritage.
Oh, and by the way, here's the variant cover that EVS did that was Green Lantern Batman.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah, I just love that. It's pretty dope. And so let me see. I'm trying to find. There's this one page, but it's like. And that's the thing about Green Lantern. You have to have the proper artist too in order to like really like communicate, because it's like the main artist for Geoff Johns' Green Lantern. There were three: Ethan Van Sciver, Ivan Reyes, and Doug Mahnke. All three of those were like amazing artists.
Note to self: if I ever do a Green Lantern run, hire Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah, can you imagine the internet response?
Oh, I doubt DC would let me do it, but like if I have like enough clout or whatever, be like, hey, so you had a really great Batman run and it sold records. What do you want to do now? I want to do a Green Lantern run. Awesome! We know you're a Star Wars fan. Awesome! But I have one condition: you want to hire Ethan Van Sciver, don't you? Yes. Fine. We'll make the call. We'll prepare the social media team for the incoming storm.
Oh, you want to see this? So. Ethan Van Sciver had another character designed for Jessica Cruz. It actually looks pretty dope. Here.
That is pretty dope.
Again, I just love the lantern symbol on the eye. I think that's like one of the highlights of the character.
That's just such a chef's kiss moment. Like, perfect.
Yeah. So let's see. What else do I want to talk about? So again, you have to have the right artist paired with the writer, because the artist has to be able to communicate all these different constructs. Because you could say draw like a Green Lantern creating a crane.
Draw it like one of those French girls.
Of course, I knew you were gonna do that.
You know me so well, son.
Yes, I at this point I know you so well.
It's like it's like in the back of your head, like he's gonna make the joke. He's gonna make the joke, and like made the joke.
There's one Green Lantern that I forgot to mention that actually is very important. Sodium Yacht.
Sounds like a drink additive.
Do you know who he is?
I have no clue.
He's a Daxamite. Now, what Daxamites
aren't they kind of related to Kryptonians?
They're basically Kryptonians. So you can imagine Superman with a Green Lantern ring.
That sounds very super.
And he actually went toe to toe with Superboy Prime.
Wow.
But. Yeah, and he became Ion, which basically the entity of the Green Lanterns went into him, and he became like this supercharged Green Lantern.
Wow.
Yeah. So and basically, if the Green Lantern Corps were ever like destroyed, he would be able to resurrect the core.
So he became a living lantern, like literally a lantern.
Well, that's also what Hal Jordan, because Hal Jordan became living willpower to the point where he can create his own Green Lantern rings.
Okay, quick question. Are we talking about comic books or are we talking about anime?
Either way.
you see why I'm asking that, right?
Yeah, it kind of sounds like anime. But here's that page I was talking about. It's a little small, but here's basically the page. You have like John Stewart's is more like an architect. Guy Gardner is more like a flamethrower. Kyle Rayner is more like an artist, and like Guy Gardner has like a buzzsaw. Killer Wogs is like a giant cannon. Yeah, it's so I just love that one image of EVS.
Sweet.
So like there's also this really cool part of like Sinestro Corps War, because previous to that war, the Green Lantern rings couldn't be used to kill anyone. So, but the Sinestro Corps rings could. So the lanterns are getting wiped out. So there's a part where like the lanterns are hanging out in Oa, and all of a sudden like 50 Green Lantern rings fly by, going scanning for replacement, and they're all like, the hell? I think Nick probably got kicked out of the What's up?
Sorry, technical. Yeah, my stupid.
yeah. So all right, but anyway, so okay, so what was it? Oh yeah. So there was okay, so at one point the Guardians decide, okay, so we're gonna get wiped out. Let's just let the Green Lanterns kill the Sinestro Corps members. So all of a sudden, they get the Green Lanterns get a message that says lethal force has been authorized. So then you have like so many.
So they just change the settings from stun to kill.
Yeah, and the Green Lanterns are like, oh hell yes. And it turns out that was Sinestro's plan the entire time, because he wanted the Green Lanterns to become more of like the strict enforcers of order. And he knew that if the Green Lanterns could all of a sudden kill, the inhabitants of the universe would become afraid of the Lanterns, which would feed fear, which feeds his ring.
He's playing some 4D chess, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he is. He is definitely. So, okay. So on that note, we're going to start wrapping up really quick, and then I'll let Nick plug his comic. But by the way, here's EVS drawing Superman as a yellow lantern. I just wanted to share this because I think that looks super dope.
Oh, that does look dope.
Yeah, so that's pretty much that. So let me ask, so Nick, final thoughts in the Green Lantern world.
Pretty BA.
Yeah, it's very, very badass. And yeah, exactly. If I were writing Green Lantern and I got to the point where I had a lot of clout, I would say I'm hiring EVS. I'm at least asking EVS.
For sure.
Even if he probably wouldn't, but I'm like, do you want to at least do a variant cover? And then actually, here's a good one real quick. So here's a variant cover EVS did with the Justice League as different Lantern Corps members, and he put Superman as a blue lantern.
Yes.
Flash is the red lantern. Aquaman is the orange lantern. That's interesting.
And wow,
this is new 52 League. So you have Batman as a yellow lantern, of course. Cyborg as an indigo lantern, and I like how it. As a Star Sapphire. That's kind of backwards. I think Wonder Woman would have been better as that, but I like how he has like the Star Sapphire logo and the Cyborg logo. You have Wonder Woman. Then you have Superman as the Blue Lantern.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. Now, okay, so again, real quick, one more time for the audience. What's your favorite Lantern Corps? But you can't pick green.
If I can't pick green, then probably blue, because blue is my favorite color, and I'm kind of like a hopeful person. You know,
that works. Mine is probably either blue or Star Sapphire because they have the coolest characters, or maybe red actually, because red's my favorite color, and that's a super edgy like motto again as we were going through.
Well, if I had to pick a Green Lantern character, a Lantern character that isn't a Green Lantern, I would pick Dexter.
Of course you would. Of course you would. Of course. Now let me ask you this. Actually, what Lantern Corps do you think Screecher would be in?
Probably blue, as like he's hope and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. On that note, okay, so Nick, do you have anything you want to plug?
Oh yes, I do have something to plug. I have a very avian plug.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Screecher is currently in the signups, and I'm sure he'll put the link in the description.
I will.
I'm currently at 50 signups. I'm trying to get about 5 a day. So if you go there and support it, I would really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. There you go. And again, it has the Comics League stamp of approval. So, and I'll put it in the description. There's that. And by the way, thank you everyone, because we officially hit 300 subscribers on YouTube today.
All right. So you have reached Spartan status.
Yeah. So I wanted to play this real quick. So I'm just gonna play this.
I know what you're gonna.
There you go.
I knew it.
You had to know it. You had to know it. And actually, one more.
What is your profession?
So there you go. So hope you guys enjoy. By the way, drop in the comments who's your favorite Lantern. What's your favorite Lantern Corps? What's your favorite Green Lantern storyline? Whether or not it's in the Johns run or it's in the Hard Traveling Heroes or whatever. And if you could be in a Lantern Corps, which one would it be? And I'd probably think for Nick would be blue. For me, it'd probably be green.
I might be green as well, honestly.
Mm-hmm. We'd be partners patrolling Sector 2814. Actually, real quick, there's one more point I want to bring up. So Tomar Ray of the Green Lantern Corps, his sector included Krypton, and he always blamed himself. He considers Krypton's destruction his biggest failure. And actually, it's kind of funny. In Injustice, the Guardians show up with the Green Lantern Corps to fight Superman. And Superman goes, wait a second. Where the hell were you people when Krypton was exploding?
Yeah, because they could have helped with the evacuation effort.
Or at least maybe help the planet not blow up.
Yep.
But, that's just that's the Guardians. The Guardians are annoying as hell as characters for the most part.
Well, not necessarily the Guardians, more like the Alpha Lanterns.
Well, the Alpha Lanterns were their own thing, but the Guardians themselves are very annoying. In fact, here's the thing. With the Alpha Lanterns, so after the ability... I know, I'll talk about this one thing, then I'll sign off. But the Alpha Lanterns, they're essentially the internal affairs of the Green Lantern Corps. What those is that they took certain Green Lanterns and turned them into cyborgs, and they're responsible for, investigating Green Lanterns who kill people. And so pretty much they combine Green Lanterns with Manhunters. And what's funny is that you're telling me that the Guardians are literally repeating the same mistakes that kind of led them to create the Green Lantern Corps.
Not surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
Not surprised.
Exactly. On that note, we're gonna bring this episode of Under Two Capes to a close. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Be on the lookout for our upcoming live stream this Sunday at 6 p.m. when we talk about the where we have a general Green Lantern discussion. I may have a few more guests. And then we're also going to talk about more Green Lantern as it applies to the SnyderVerse, because once again, the Green Lanterns play a significant role in Justice League Part 3. On that note, Nick, thank you for coming on. It was a pleasure. And on that note, have a good one, everyone. Stay heroic, and I will see you in the next episode. Stay heroic. Bye-bye.